Wadi Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. The Wadi Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. All praise, glory, and honor due to Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai. Bahashim Rakahakotash Barakathum. Peace and blessings to Hofelet. 144 and the rest of 1/3. And all my apostles, bishops, and elders, and Malakim who rule well in GMS. Shalom, shalom. And all the speckled bird and Akwafi. Shalom, shalom. Yeah, we already knew that Esau, the devil, loved having sex with dogs, animals, horses, and essaying kids and men and women. Yeah, we already knew that. You know what I'm saying? We got the proof right here that this devil is big time with that.
Shalom, shalom. Call halal Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Rakah Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. The would-be judges, the 144,000, the tabernacle of David, ordained to be the ruling class people here on earth, above all other people, above all the races, above all governments. There will be only one government to govern them all, and that will be the nation of Israel.
That's right.
Who primarily make up the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and the rest of the scattered elect scattered around the four corners of the earth among the heathen nations that has the appearance of the heathen nations. This is not a black only thing or even a white thing. This is an Israelite thing. All right, for our people are still scattered. Okay, and to the few Akwaf, meaning the sisters that are listening and learning, to you I say shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you another lesson in truth. And I have a collection of videos that I've gathered up from our beloved apostle, Ram Lab. You know, I have to, he didn't send them to say this is an order, but he sent them. So, the spirit jumps on you to send certain videos to certain brothers, because I do that. I'll come across something and I'll send it to a certain brother. And so he didn't order me to do it, but he definitely wants me to respond through the spirit. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. And this first one, I want to read Daniel 4 and 17. And as you can read the screen too, if you're not looking at the screen, pay attention to it. But it says Daniel 4 and 17. This matter is by the decree of the watchers, to the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and set up over it the basis of men. So the basis of men are actually in power, in the power seat. Now the beautiful thing is that they're losing the power seat. They're actually being made fun of. They're falling. But they are in the power seat, and they've been ruling this current evil world for like the last 500 something years. And as you can see, first one, BBC, British Broadcasting Company, BBC, all right. Denmark passes a law to ban bestiality, which means Denmark has been allowing people to practice, or people have been practicing bestiality. Bestiality of brothels are spreading through Germany. It's 2026, man. All right. These loose trap, hookup culture, sexy reds, and, Kardashian type women all over these women are why? All right. This is on YouTube. Euro TV, a brothel of zoophiles to open in Denmark. Animal brothels in Germany as migrant population. I'm trying to put it on the migrants, man. Come on. History of zoophilia and bestiality. So, those are just the top ones that popped up when I put in sheep brothels in Europe. That's what I put in there. That was a search engine. So, this is Leviticus. All right, let's go to the law, which they're going to make this illegal to read pretty soon. And in the law, it tells you, neither shalt thou lie with any beast to defile thyself therewith. Neither shall any woman stand before a beast and lie down thereunto. It is confusion. All right. So I'm going to play this video that the apostle sent to me, because I was like, you have got to be kidding me. But yeah, so this will be the first of many, because he sent me about 6 or 7 of them. Then I got to get back to I got a long list from April O'Neil too. Man, it's so much happening in the world right now. But
That's right.
Here we go. Yeah.
My first sexual encounter with an animal came when I was about 11 or 12. I tried to have
So
sex
let's
with
take
a family
that back.
dog. My first sexual encounter with an animal came when I was about 11 or 12. I tried to have sex with the family dog, which was a miniature poodle named Miss Clavel. The dog was in heat, so I naively assumed that since she was having sex with a stud dog, she would be willing to have sex with me. Which she wasn't. It was an embarrassing incident. It was not very romantic. After that, I felt basically unclean. I felt like I might have to take a bath. I wondered what was wrong with me. Why I wasn't having normal male desires for women. It made me feel very embarrassed. It made me feel abnormal.
You should be embarrassed, but it's not as abnormal as you may think. White community, is this your man's? Is this y'all man's right here? I know we always have you think this is about what's going on in the black community. But upstairs, your uncle's fucking on a family dog.
Yeah. So
this is not as.
So yeah, is this your man's? Is this your man's in them? So it's comical, but it's not, because unfortunately, according to the law, now the poor beast has to die. In this case, his family dog, she turned him down. She shot him down. The dog said, "No, you're not my type, bro." Hey, we gotta laugh to keep from crying sometime. But yeah. So this is still, let me get it out. All right, this is Leviticus 20 and 15. And it reads, "And if a man lie with the beast, he shall surely be put to death. And ye shall slay the beast." So now the poor animal gotta die, man. Because it is confusion. All right? And it's been defiled, man. And with them, if it's not a dog, it's a child. Which in some of these Edomite books, like in the Sanhedrin, it allows, stuff like that with, children that are, less than 3 years or something like that. It's right there in their fictional holy book, because there's nothing holy about the book that the Sanhedrin is in. All right, with a particular sect of people, claiming to be the people of the Lord. But let's go to the book of Job, the 30th chapter, and I'm gonna start with verse 1. I'm gonna read through verse 8. This one's gonna be a long one, just a quick one. But this is Job 30 and 1, and it reads, "But now they that are younger than me have me in derision, whose fathers I would have disdained to have set with the dogs of my flock." So when it says younger, that word there really means, you look it up in the Hebrew, it means insignificant. They're not important. But yet now they have us in derision. We're under their laws. We're under their rule. And these people, Job wouldn't have set near the flocks of his dogs. Because why? Because he ended up having to put his best dogs to death, because they're going to freak off on him and defile him. All right? And it says, yeah, whereto might the strength of their hands profit me, in whom old age was perished? For want and famine they were solitary, fleeing into the wilderness in the former time, desolate of waste, because they got chased up into the Caucasus Mountains, all right? After the fall of Rome, when you had the time of what they refer to as the African Caesars, but they weren't Africans, they were Israelites, okay? Going into the 2nd, 3rd, 4th century. It says, "Who cut up mallows by the bushes and juniper roots for their meat," right? And then they like, and they're the only people I know that get down with juniper. All right. I know that I think they make gin with juniper. I don't really care for gin. All right. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's gin. That's that weird taste that gin has. It's the juniper roots. But it says, who cut up mallows by the bushes and juniper roots for their meat. They were driven forth from among men. They cried after them as after a thief. Okay? It says they dwell in the cliffs of the valleys and the caves of the earth and the rocks. And they love to try to tell you that was 10,000 years ago. No, the Geico caveman, that was during the Dark Ages, okay? They started coming out of them caves, in right in the medieval time, in the late Dark Ages, right? And then they started coming back into power around, in the 13th century, okay? But it says, and the perfect movie to show you that was that movie Quest for Fire. But once again, Esau tried to put that off as being 10,000 years ago, 20,000. The earth is not even 20,000 years old, according to the Bible. And the Bible is the ultimate book of truth. According to the Bible, mankind been around for, about 13,000 years. About that, or the earth's been around about that time. Okay? It's about, 13, 14,000 at the most, something like that. All right, you got to remember, you got 7,000 years of creation. On the seventh day, he rested. Remember, 1,000 years. Matter of fact, let me get it now that I mentioned it. I think that's Peter. 1 Peter. Or 2 Peter. All right. 2 Peter 3. Yeah, 2 Peter 3 and 8, and it reads, "But beloved, be not ignorant of this thing, that one day with the Lord is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is as one day." So 1,000 years to us is only one day to the Lord. All right, so when it says on the first day, that was 1,000 years. On the second day, that was 1,000 years. So you have 5,000 years of creation. 7,000 years of 6,000 years of creation. Actually, he rested on the seventh day, and then mankind. All right. So all that 15,000. 20,000 and 30,000 and a million years. All that's just pseudoscience that they created to try to get around who and what they are. Okay, so let's go back to Job. I think I was at verse 7. Yeah, verse 6. To dwell in the cliffs of the valleys and in the caves of the earth and in the rocks. So they were the cavemen, the Edomites, and that's what, they was up in the hills and the cliffs, in the mountains, in the caves. Thus the term Caucasian. Caucasian literally translates to cave dwellers. And they were the main people who made their life in the caves like that. Most other people that lived in caves were because of war and other things, and but this was where they had made their home. And the whole backwards crazy culture that came along with it. Just read the Arthur Koestler's book, or any book really, about the Khazars and how they lived before they started following other religions. New religions, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. All right. But it says, they were children of fools, children of base men. They were viler than the earth. So that's those base men, the Edomites, the people of the Lord's curse. Okay. And, and it's just one of them things. This is, and like I said, these are the people that are actually in rulership, that are ruling your world. Right? And it's crazy. You got evidence of SA of children and white women in America, and yet they've done nothing about it. Funny how they on the lies of so-called white women, Edomite women, they burned down with almost 200 townships with so-called black people in the 19th and late 18th century. over a woman that was just committing adultery and lied and just try to blame it. It was a nigger. You know, watch what was that movie? Rosewood. Okay, same thing in Tulsa, Oklahoma. All right, so those white women crying, those so-called white women crying those tears, cause a lot of people to die. But yet, once again, this base man, America is led by genocidal maniacs who young women and children and cannibalize, eat them, and do all manner of things, and there's evidence of it, but nothing has been done. Just like they're just trying to ignore all the evidence of this Nolan Wells kid, a young man. I call him a kid because he was a very young man. He wasn't actually a kid; he was a man, but he was a young man. Salakia. But that's what we're dealing with. And Thawadi Yahweh Shema was shy that their time is coming to an end. Matter of fact, I'll read that. I mentioned it. I might as well read it and we'll close out with that. Isaiah 34 and 5. Because everything that's going on in the world with the war, with the Third World War that has begun, it just hasn't gone full blown yet, but it's getting there. And it's getting there actually a lot faster than I thought it would. But this is Isaiah 34 and 5, and it says, "For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea, upon the people of my curse to judgment." So what curse is that? These people that can't go in the sun, the people that lack melanin. That's the mark of Cain was put on Esau, on Edom, on the Edomites. All right, these people who want to be superior by sabotage. If you were superior, you just be superior. You don't have to sabotage history, lie about history, omit history. Set up games that only you can win. Set up, set up the contest that only you can win. The contest in a game of life. You set it up to where anyone of color, especially Jake, would lose. You make the rules, not, you made them an NPC. And, in most of the modern things, hell, even this telephone, you could thank Jake for the technology, for the telephone, even for the internet. But Esau Edom, so-called white man, he takes credit for everything. That's why the Lord is going to do this. And he claims to be the people of the Lord. So this is Isaiah 34 and 8. "For it is the day of Yahweh's vengeance and the year of recompenses for the controversy of Zion." So it's going to be no more argument, no more debate who the Israelites are. Everyone's going to know, right? A lot of people do know now. They just, once again, they just ignore the evidence. When you got evidence and receipts, what they do is they simply keep you out of court. This is what they do. They keep you out of court and keep you out, out of the mainstream media. And if they do put you in the mainstream media, they take away your voice so they can show your face and they spin the narrative, but not actually let you talk. But all that's coming to an end. So with that, I want to give all praises, all honor and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakaha, Kodash, Kwam, Yasharala, Abba, Babal.
Wait, how is everyone getting a new smartphone and high-speed data every month? If you're on SNAP, Medicaid, SSI, or other government assistance, you may qualify for a free phone, plus free up to 10 gigabytes high-speed data, unlimited text, and...
It's a wrap, devil. It's a wrap. That's right. It's a wrap. My bad. Shalakia. Well, you're done, devil. Wall or ball, ball, ball.